Donald Trump was just sworn in as the 47th president of the United States of America, and on the very first day of trading since his presidency, the market seems to be pretty bullish. So in this video, we're going to be looking at an article from Kiplinger.com titled 5 Stocks to Buy for a Trump Presidency, discussing these stock picks and seeing if we agree. Now, anytime we talk about trying to pick stocks based on who the current president is, we have to be very careful because it's simply not as easy as you would think. For example, we can see during Obama's presidency, you think green energy stocks would have done very well, but oil stocks actually outperformed, and during the Trump presidency, the exact opposite was true. Now, to be fair, Trump did leave office when oil stocks were really hurting due to the pandemic. But there's no doubt that certain policies and regulations can play a major role for many companies. So let's go ahead and dive into this list. Now, coming in at number 1, we have JP Morgan Chase, one of the largest banks in the United States of America. And the reason they have this company listed is we can see Trump was able to enact significant changes throughout the banking industry during his first tenure in the White House. And for example, Trump took to cut red tape for banks, such as unwinding the Department of Housing and Urban Development's affirmatively furthering fair housing rule and signing a regulatory relief bill that included numerous pro-banking reforms. And if we scroll down just a little bit further, one of the things we can see is a quote: "We like JP Morgan among the large banks, given its better lending growth profile, strong credit card franchise, and expected market share gains in its capital markets business." And they also added that they believe JP Morgan is currently undervalued at its current levels. So let's break all this down. Now, if we jump over to Seeking Alpha, we can see JP Morgan's up about 1.7% on the day. If we look at just the past year, up about 58%. Now, complete transparency, like always, JP Morgan is a stock that I own in my personal portfolio, and it's done very well. If we blow up my growth chart, come over here and look at JP Morgan. I'm up over 150% on this position. But here's what's really cool when you buy dividend growth stocks. If we look at the starting dividend yield for JP Morgan, sitting close to about 1.93% as of right now. But if we jump over to my dividend dashboard, look at my dividend yield on cost for my JP Morgan position. Look right here. We can see it's sitting at about 4.4%. And the reason my yield on cost is so much higher than the current starting dividend yield is due to 2 different reasons. One, I was able to buy in at a great valuation when the company had a higher starting dividend yield, but the company also grows the dividend at a pretty high rate. For example, if we jump over to my dividend breakdown sheet, come up here and plug in JP Morgan, and all this data will automatically load in. And like always, if you'd like to download any of my spreadsheets and also get access to the ticker data add-on in Google Sheets that allows you to automatically import stock financials straight into your spreadsheet, then you can head over to tickerdata.com at the link in the description. Now, here's what I want to point out. The 10-year dividend CAGR for this company is sitting at about 11.9%, so close to 12%. So they've seen double-digit dividend growth, which is very impressive. But we also have to remember most banks heavily cut their dividend during the global financial crisis. So they're able to increase their dividends because they're simply raising it back to where it was pre-2008. But regardless, the dividend growth has been good. Now, JP Morgan recently released their latest quarter's earnings report, and they absolutely smashed expectations. Q4 non-GAAP earnings per share came in at $4.81, which was a beat by 71 cents, and revenue came in at $43.74 billion, up 13.4% year over year, and was also a beat by $2.18 billion. But it wasn't just JP Morgan out of the bank stocks that did well. Nearly every bank stock that reported earnings the other day beat expectations by a wide margin. And to add on to this, yes, they beat Q4 estimates, but they also said they expect fiscal year 2025 net interest income to be above the consensus estimates. And so to put things into perspective, if we jump over to my stock screener, let's plug in JP Morgan. If we come over here and look at the company's earnings per share, we can see from 2014, it was sitting at $5.33, and at the end of 2024, $19.79. And so when you buy bank stocks, specifically American bank stocks like JP Morgan, you're basically making a bet on the American economy. We have to remember, how do banks make money? They take in deposits and give out loans. That's the primary business. And so the bull case with JP Morgan when it comes to a Trump presidency is things like deregulation is going to incentivize more business activity. There'll be more people taking out loans, driving net interest income higher for JP Morgan, which again, they just stated they expect fiscal year 2025 net interest income to be above the consensus. But the interesting statement we saw from this analyst is they think JP Morgan is undervalued at its current levels. Let's look at a valuation to see if we agree. If we come over to my stock valuation and plug in JP Morgan, let's jump over and look at our dividend discount model valuation. If we go ahead and zoom in, here's what we can see. Assuming a dividend growth rate moving forward of about 6.5% and a discount rate of 8.5%, we come to a dividend discount model price per share of $255.60, with the current price at $263. So it looks like it's pretty much trading right at fair value according to our dividend discount model. The second stock on the list is Lockheed Martin, the aerospace and defense company. And if we scroll down, we can see the consensus has been that defense stocks benefit from Republican administrations. Is that true? Well, I actually wrote about this in an article for Seeking Alpha fairly recently. On average, Republican administrations increase defense spending by $46.3 billion when they take power, and Democrats decrease defense spending by $8.2 billion when they transition into power. So yes, it does look like the data has supported that, and President Trump has given us every reason to believe this trend will continue. And if we further look at this article, we can see most analysts are giving it a buy rating as of right now. So let's break all this down. We can see LMT currently trading at about $505.95 per share and is up over 3% on the day. So it looks like most of the market is bullish on President Trump. Now, over the past year, it's only up about 10.29%. And at one point, we can see mid-October, it was trading as high as $614 per share. Now, if we go ahead and jump over to our dividend breakdown sheet, let's look at them from a dividend perspective. We can see the company has a decent starting dividend yield, hovering around 2.5% right now, and the dividend growth has been decent over the past 5 and 10 years at around 7 to 8%, and the dividend growth has been pretty consistent. It's a pretty good track record, but you have to understand Lockheed Martin is not just a dividend stock. It's not just a dividend growth stock. It's a true shareholder yield stock. Let me show you what I mean. If we jump over to Bogle's valuation, I've already plugged in LMT. I want to pay attention to the shareholder yield. Again, all this is dividend yield plus your buyback yield. Remember, there's two ways a company can directly reward shareholders, and that's paying out dividends and buying back shares. And look at the average buyback yield for this company over the past few years. It's sitting at 2.5%, and they've really ramped up buybacks over the last couple of years. They even bought back about 5% of their outstanding shares in 2023. So if we take the average buyback yield and the dividend yield for Lockheed Martin, the shareholder yield is about 5%. So you're benefiting from dividends and also share buybacks. That's important to understand if you're interested in this company. Now, if we jump over to our stock screener, let's come up here and plug in LMT. Now, what we can see from this company is, yes, revenue's growing, but it's not necessarily growing at a high rate. For example, if we look at their recent earnings report, here's one of the things we can see. In the most recent quarter, they had net sales of $17.1 billion, which was only an increase of 1% year over year. And they also stated they expect sales to increase by about 5% moving forward. So this is a more mature company. It's not a high growth company, but here's what people love about this. If we come down here, we can see they have a record backlog of more than $165 billion. So they have business lined up for years. So the future free cash flows for this company are very predictable. And that's something that most investors absolutely love. And if we look at this company from a valuation perspective, to start off, we can see they currently have a free cash flow yield of about 5.42%. So for every $100 you invest into this company, you'd be generating about $5.42 in free cash flow. If we take things a step forward, jump over to the stock valuation sheet and plug in Lockheed Martin. The first valuation we'll look at is going to be our discounted cash flow analysis. So let's go ahead and zoom in. And here's the assumptions we're making. Free cash flow growth of about 6%. For the future free cash flows for the company. So after adding things like cash and subtracting out total debt and dividing by shares outstanding, we come to a DCF price per share of about $530. And again, if we look at the current share price, it's sitting at about $506 per share. And keep in mind, that's after the 3.3% boost on the day. But if we jump back over to our valuation sheet, let's look at the dividend discount model. What are they valued based on that? We can see assuming dividend growth of about 5.5%. And for perspective, again, dividend growth rates have been higher recently, and their most recent dividend hike came in at about 5%. But with a discount rate of 8%, we come to a dividend discount model price per share of $538.05 per share. So I would agree with this. I think Lockheed Martin is an interesting company to have on your watch list during President Trump's term. Not only are the fundamentals solid, the cash flows are recession-proof, they stand to benefit from things like deregulation, the valuation looks interesting, and defense spending will likely ramp up over the coming years. The third one on the list is Exxon Mobile, our very first oil stock on this list. And there's a lot of people bullish on the oil industry when it comes to a Trump presidency, but let's see if we agree. What's the arguments that they're making? The main point it looks like here is Trump has always been anti-regulation, so the oil and gas industry will likely do very well with its victory. And generally speaking, this is true. For example, if we scroll down, we can see if elected, Trump is expected to strip away the Biden ban on new liquefied natural gas products, which is now being challenged in court. And if we scroll down even further, one of the things we can see is there are multiple positive drivers across Exxon Mobil's business over the next 5 years: visible upstream growth, new downstream capacity additions, ramping low carbon investments, and cost reductions. And then they went on to state that Exxon Mobil is one of the best energy stocks over the next half decade. So that's a pretty big claim. There's a lot going on here. So again, let's break it down. Exxon Mobil over the past year up about 15.43%, and their high was about $126 per share. If we go ahead and jump over to the dividend breakdown sheet, let's get a better feel from what they're like from a dividend perspective. To start off, we can see the dividend yield for this company sitting close to 3.44%, and they do have a history of dividend growth, but here's what you also want to check for. The dividend is growing, but the 5-year dividend CAGR is sitting at 2.28%, which is below the rate of inflation. So remember, anytime you have a dividend growth rate below the rate of inflation, that company is technically paying out less in dividends. Now, the 10-year is closer to that inflation rate, probably a little bit above it at about 3.6%. But again, dividend growth has been slow over the past few years. Now, there's multiple reasons for this. We can see the company's had its best 3 years in the past decade. But we have to understand, these oil stocks like Exxon Mobile, are so cyclical in nature. There's so much volatility when it comes to earnings, when it comes to revenues and free cash flow. For example, if we jump over to our stock screener, look at how revenue per share has evolved over the past decade. We've had some runs where it's high, low, and then gotten high again, and the same has been true with earnings per share and free cash flow per share. If we jump over and look at my profitability sheet, pay attention to the gross profit ratio. Again, there can be a lot of fluctuation, but here's perhaps the most telling. If we jump over to my free cash flow analysis sheet, come up here and plug in Exxon Mobile. There's plenty to look at here, but there's one thing in particular that makes a significant difference, especially when it comes to these oil stocks. Look here, the free cash flow margin. What is this telling us? Well, it's basically telling us out of every $100 in revenue that the company generates, how much is becoming free cash flow. So for example, in 2023, the free cash flow margin was 9.9%. So for every $100 the company generated in revenue, about $9.99 actually became free cash flow. But we can see this number fluctuates heavily over the past decade. At one point, it was as low as negative 1.45%, and at its highest in 2022, 14.5%. This number fluctuates very heavily throughout the years. Again, these are very cyclical companies. And because they're so cyclical in nature, it makes the future free cash flows very hard to predict, thus making it very hard to value the company. So when it comes to the valuation of Exxon Mobile, look at the free cash flow yield, 6.67%. So for every $100 you invest in the company, they'll generate about $6.67 in free cash flow. But the problem is, typically when you do that, you want to think free cash flow is going to grow over time, so your free cash flow yield on cost will also grow. But there's so much fluctuation in things like free cash flow margin that's not necessarily always the case for these oil stocks. Again, it doesn't mean they're bad companies. I just prefer predictable companies with predictable cash flows. So overall, I don't think this is necessarily a bad pick for a Trump presidency. There's definitely money to be made in oil stocks in the grand scheme of things, but this isn't what I'm interested in adding to my portfolio. The fourth on the list is stock ticker NUE, the steel company Nucor, and if we scroll down, we can see some of the arguments they're making. Nucor and its steel industry peers could use some good news. Why do they say that? Well, if we look at Seeking Alpha, they're down almost 27% in the last year alone, trading pretty close to their 52-week low. At one point in the year, they were trading as high as $203 per share. And if we look here, we can see HRC, which is hot rolled coil steel, was trading near $2,000 an ounce in August of 2021, but as of December 11th, it was trading at $677. And in addition to lower prices, US steelmakers are now experiencing slower sales volumes, which is starting to squeeze profits. So for example, if we jump over to my profitability sheet, let's come up here and plug in NUE. If we come over here, look at the gross profit ratio evolution. We can see in 2021 and 2022, it was really good compared to where they had been historically speaking, around 30%. But we can see a pretty sharp decline here in 2023, and when they report full 2024 data, I think we're going to see the exact same case. So yes, gross profit ratio has been declining over the past couple of years. So what's the bull case for a Trump presidency? Well, they state the tide could turn for NUE with Trump's victory, and this is because American steelmakers could benefit from Trump administration tariffs on as much as 20% on all imported products, as it could offset the impact of price competition from Chinese and Brazilian steelmakers. And if we scroll down just a little bit further, we can also see they make the claim that the balance sheet currently looks clean. Let's analyze that. If we jump over to my balance sheet breakdown, come up here and plug in NUE. And just by quickly glancing at some of the key balance sheet highlights, I think they are right. The debt to assets ratio is only sitting at 0.2, and it's been remaining pretty low for the duration of the past decade, and it's actually gone even lower. The current ratio, again, this is total current assets divided by total current liabilities. It's sitting at 2.59, so it means the company can easily meet short-term debt obligations. So from a balance sheet perspective, things do look pretty good for this company. If we look at the dividend breakdown, come up here and plug in NUE. What we can see is a low starting dividend yield, close to 1.7%, and not necessarily a lot of dividend growth over the past decade. It's ramped up a little bit over the past 5 years at about 6.25%, but I wouldn't qualify this as a big dividend payer or a big dividend grower. If we look at the stock screener, come back over here and plug in NUE, you will notice there was a big jump in earnings due to the increase in revenue. But in 2023, earnings were quite a bit lower than they were the previous 2 years. So all in all, I can't see as to why they make an argument to why a Trump victory could be good, but there is some speculation involved here. I personally would not want to buy a stock where I have to hope there's going to have to be political action for them to benefit. For example, if your biggest bull case is that the Trump administration could implement tariffs, that's just not good enough for me. That's not to say it won't happen, but I want to have trust in the underlying fundamentals of the company. I want to buy stocks that can grow earnings regardless of the environment it's operating in. So yes, I understand why this stock is on the list, but it's not a stock I would add to my portfolio. And then lastly, we have GEO Group, stock ticker GEO. Now, if you aren't familiar with this company, it's going to be pretty straightforward as to why people are bullish on this company. We can see GEO Group is a global leader in providing government contracted services in the corrections, detention, community reentry, and electronic monitoring sectors. So if we scroll down, we can see the bull case. This is the smallest of the 5 stocks expected to benefit from a Trump presidency. The company designs and delivers support services for prisons, immigration processing centers, and community reentry centers. And this company is best known for their ICE processing centers. And if we scroll down, we can see the base case for this is a Trump presidency is expected to lead the GEO Group, winning more contracts, which could help reignite its growth. Here's the huge problem with this one being on the list right now. Look at the share price for the company. In fact, let's zoom in a little bit. Look at it over the past 6 months. Here's the spike right here before November 4th, and then the spike up happened on November 5th and November 6th. Why is this? Well, this is when Trump actually won the presidency. So we can see this company is now trading at a forward price to earnings multiple of 104.74. So I think it's pretty easy to make the argument that the growth in earnings and revenue this company is going to see is already priced into the stock. And to add on to this, the short interest is sitting at 7.33%. So there's already multiple institutions betting against this stock. And I think the reason behind that is simply the valuation, going up over 200% in just 1 year. And then one of the things I do want to point out is if we look at a quick summary of the company, investors should not expect capital returns from share repurchases or dividends. And the reason is the company remains focused on deleveraging. Additionally, capacity expansion to meet demand may also affect cash liquidity. So let's see what they mean. If we jump over to our balance sheet, plug in GEO, what we can see is the company is currently sitting on a debt to assets ratio of about 0.49. So total assets currently about double what total debt is, but the current ratio is a little bit on the low end. Total current assets $484 million, while total current liabilities is $441 million, giving them a current ratio of about 1.1. So what they're saying is this company is going to have to be completely focused on reducing debt and expanding their facilities. They're not going to have the leftover capital to reward shareholders with share buybacks or dividend payouts. Again, it's going to be used to reinvest back into the business and to pay down debt. So yes, it completely makes sense why this company would be on this list, but in reality, the opportunity was before the election. The company's trading at a pretty rich premium at its current prices. So all in all, I can see why all 5 of these stocks would be on this list. The underlying fundamentals of each of these 5 companies do stand to benefit from a Trump presidency. With that being said, not all the opportunities on this list are equal. But go ahead and let me know what you think of these companies in the comments down below. And like always, if you'd like to download any of my spreadsheets and also get access to the ticker data add-on in Google Sheets that allows you to automatically import stock financials straight into your spreadsheet, you can head over to tickerdata.com at the link in the description. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.